Deep within the Earth's shadow, where temperatures plunge to near absolute zero, a battered metal box tumbles blindly through the dark. It is unresponsive, but as the object crosses the terminator line at 17,000 miles per hour, orbital mechanics drag it back into the intense glare of the sun. The moment sunlight strikes the degraded panels across its hull, the dormant circuitry surges. A transmitter powers on, beaming a continuous telemetry signal to Earth on the 136.65 MHz band. It sounds like a rapid, musical ticking. Down below, anyone with a $30 software-defined radio and a backyard antenna can tune in and listen to this exact frequency. Amateur operators across the globe regularly record the signal as the satellite sweeps over their homes. This is Cold War hardware. It has no ground controllers, it carries no fuel, and no operational batteries. By all physical logic, it should be entirely dead. Yet, it continues to broadcast, forcing us to ask what exactly is still speaking to us from low Earth orbit. The transit program was the direct precursor to modern GPS, conceived in 1958 to establish the essential principles of satellite-based positioning and orbit determination. The military required a constellation of satellites to provide all-weather, high-precision position updates. This allowed Polaris fleet ballistic missile submarines to calculate their exact coordinates anywhere by measuring the Doppler shift of the satellite's radio beacons. The specific satellite broadcasting today was sent into the thermosphere in December 1964, during the administration of Lyndon B. Johnson. As technology evolved, the military requirement for transit vanished. The Department of Defense officially retired the navigation services in December 1996, abandoning the infrastructure and walking away from the obsolete fleet. The program ended. The operators moved on. But this single machine ignored its own obsolescence, beginning an accidental transformation into a permanent orbital ghost. The launch that put this object in space carried two entirely distinct payloads on a single rocket. The primary payload was Transit 5B5, an operational navigation satellite. It was deployed successfully, but historical records confirm it suffered a catastrophic power failure just 19 days into its mission. Its companion was Transit 5E5. This was a dense, specialized scientific satellite designed specifically to map Earth's radiation belts and test the long-term reliability of unproven, radiation-hardened components. For over half a century, the active transmitter has been officially cataloged by the military as Transit 5B5. But a systematic review of the hardware and orbital mechanics suggests a bureaucratic error decades ago swapped the identities of the two spacecraft. Ballistic coefficient is a spacecraft's drag resistance, determined by its mass-to-area ratio. 5B5 deployed a massive gravity boom, creating high drag and a rapidly decaying orbit. But the compact, heavier 5E5 resisted drag. Tracking data confirms the active satellite sits in 5E5's higher, slower orbit. With 5E5's predicted decay profile matching the survivor's current altitude to the meter, the data confirms its identity. The world has been listening to the wrong satellite for over half a century. A persistent assumption in modern tracking literature is that this satellite continues to run because it carries a SNAP-3 nuclear radioisotope generator. Empirical radio monitoring proves otherwise. The moment the spacecraft slips into the Earth's shadow, the signal abruptly vanishes. It relies entirely on the sun. Originally, its solar panels charged sealed nickel-cadmium batteries. Over 61 years, severe thermal cycling and radiation caused a catastrophic chemical breakdown within those cells. Ordinarily, a degraded battery acts as a low-resistance load, clamping the solar voltage to zero and killing the satellite. On this specific spacecraft, the cells failed into an open-circuit state. This physical failure disconnected the dead batteries from the circuit entirely. It essentially hot-wired the spacecraft, allowing the solar arrays to route raw electrical current directly into the transmitter's radio frequency oscillator. The machine did not survive because of perfect engineering. It survived because it suffered a catastrophic hardware failure that accidentally bypassed its own mortality. The telemetry it broadcasts was originally designed to relay complex environmental readings to ground stations, using an intricate matrix of analog subcarriers and digital phase modulation. But the unheated, unshielded electronics have endured 6 decades of continuous bombardment by solar flares and cosmic rays. While the radio frequency transmission works, the radiation has scrambled the internal logic gates. Binary analysis of the modern downlink reveals that the data payload is severely corrupted, reduced to an alternating, meaningless stream of ones and zeros. The hardware found a physical loophole to stay awake, but the mind has steadily eroded. It is left to blindly shout an empty song into the void, looping data from sensors that no longer exist. Down on the surface, the infrastructure of modern life advances rapidly. The world relies on packetized, high-speed GPS constellations to govern global logistics, completely detached from the primitive, analog machine tumbling overhead. This same radio frequency was once monitored by Soviet naval warships attempting to track American fleet movements. The satellite has silently outlived the Cold War, the Soviet Union, and the engineers who built it. Today, the audience consists of amateur radio trackers, parsing the static in quiet backyards. They treat this decommissioned military hardware like a living museum, capturing its faint transmissions with inexpensive antennas. Transit 5E5 was launched with the explicit scientific purpose of determining how long its components could survive in the hostility of low Earth orbit. It has succeeded beyond any reasonable metric. While we build machines to serve our immediate demands, the most enduring ones become lonely ghosts in the dark, kept alive by the geometry of the sun and the few people who still care to listen.